Welcome to Practical Talk Time. I'm your host, Usha Kumar. Today I have with me here Bruce Zboray. He practices kinesiology and he has written books and he also teaches kinesiology. This is a form of using your own energy to make things work in your life. I hope I'm saying it correctly. I'm going to check with Bruce. Please join me in welcoming Bruce Zboray. Welcome to the show.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you very much.
You are practicing kinesiology, and you've moved to kinesiology from a very scientific background before. And what made you want to write books? And
it turned out that after learning about kinesiology, so the kinesiology allowed me to start learning more and more about metaphysics myself, so that instead of reading about it, I can maybe know about a certain principle and then start developing it further and questioning it and inquiring about it and developing it further. It turned out that I wanted to show other people, first of all, the kinesiology and a set of principles which I call life energies, which are just ways of working with energy. Many people know about them from other disciplines, like not disciplines, but other sources, like the law of attraction and various things like that. The Secret, a book.
What about the access consciousness people?
Yeah.
Have you heard of them?
No.
Okay. I think they also use some form of this energy and harnessing this energy.
That's probably true, because my understanding is that we live in this energy, which is fantastic. First of all, which is a great realization to kind of like take in as an awareness. But the second thing, which seems almost too good to be true, but is that the energy is benevolent. That there's this benevolent energy all around us, and that it wants us to be happy. If we start asking.
But then why is everyone so miserable and so many bad things happening around the world?
They're miserable because sometimes they're not aware of the power they wield.
I see.
Their thoughts are creators of universes. Their thoughts can make worlds.
Oh, I see. So if they have bad thoughts or negative thoughts, that's what is causing all the misery.
Because what that does, it sends out a vibration. God, or the universe, the physics, whatever you want to call it, says, "Oh, that's what you want? I'll give you more. I'll give you more." So, it's for example, in The Secret, it was said that watch what you think, because whatever you think is you're placing an order into the universe. Whatever you think. And so staying away from things like worry and concern, and yes, there's a place for those, but staying away from those kinds of thoughts, and intentionally keeping your thoughts on something like some situations that I want to be in, happy things, uplifting things. So it turns out that your thoughts are actually controllable. You can actually decide what you're thinking. It's not this rambling train of thought that you have no control over. It's something where you can actually focus it on beauty, for example. Imagine spending a half hour thinking of every possible way I could think of something beautiful. A beautiful picture, a beautiful meadow, a child's face, beautiful clothes, beautiful colors, just colors. Colors themselves are beautiful.
That's why we have to use fresh flowers, right?
That's true.
Just to create the good energy.
The fresh flowers have many benefits. One of them is their beauty. Another one is their energy, the energy of nature, a very, very strong energy that even if the flower is cut, I believe still holds that energy. And so just having some fresh flowers in front of you is an uplifting thing. It uplifts not only you, but the environment around you.
You have written all these books, and I did read your previous book. this one, Waking Moments. And in that you talk about, not having to, not needing like big organizations or government or anything, that people can live peacefully. So what was that about? Can you explain a little?
Okay. That part was because I believe that there is a natural intelligence in us to work together as groups, so that a group, an organization, whether it's a company or whether it's a nation, or whether it's 10 people who come together for any purpose, that there is an innate ability in people to organize and without a leader.
Oh, I see.
That the consciousness of the group actually is the leader, in a sense. That the group itself holds among itself what needs to be done. And yes, there may be a spokesperson, but the spokesperson is different than the person who's leading. That the control is distributed among the people, and actually, literally, is housed as the group itself. So I believe that in the long run, these things will be recognized. In the short term, maybe some things, some organizations were set up with good intention, but without in some sense, without knowing sort of some other level of a law, that, or an ability in people, or maybe it's the faith in the people. Maybe that's it. I mean, you would think, why does the government require senators and representatives? Why can't the people themselves do this? Why is there an intermediate in there? Why? Why is that? And maybe it was because of, at that time, technology, that there was no way to register the will of a group of people.
Okay.
And now that has changed. But I believe that it's even a deeper level. That at a deeper level,
that's a very interesting thought. That now with technology, the people can actually be more involved in the running of the government.
Oh, I believe that's true. I believe that's true, and I am so happy with, with some of the things that are in the internet, which allow me to talk to the senator, talk with an email to a senator. So, for example, there was a bill about genetically modified food that just that was just put up for vote. I wouldn't have been aware of it if there weren't a computer system to bring that to my attention. So there's like groups of people who are looking out for harmony. And
and I saw the one about AGAG.
Yes, I remember seeing that thing about
some
agriculture or something. Yes.
So they are being reversed now. So
that's true.
So and people can get to know what's really happening.
That's right.
In these farms.
It's bringing this information. So the great thing about the way technology is that it's bringing that right out in front of us. What's normally kind of hidden and kind of like a needle in a haystack, it goes along with everything else. You don't notice it's there, but suddenly a law has been passed with this extra little part on it that says we're doing this thing from now on, but I didn't really want that. So yes, the internet and things like that and technology allow us to be more in tune with what's really happening, which is a good thing.
Bruce, can you tell us a little bit about the book, Gracing of Earth, how you came to write that book and what does it contain? Okay.
Well, The Gracing of Earth, the previous book I had written with my friend Matt Kay dealt with experiences, like little packages of experiences. This one, I wanted to do something a little different, and this time what I was doing was making a story, small snippets of story, and letting that tell, give an experience. So it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different because I thought that some people don't like to read self-help books, and and some people like to read how it is to actually hear someone tell a story. And that's a natural way for a lot of people to learn, is through sort of a storytelling way. Yeah. So that's where it started. It started with telling a story of a 10-year-old girl called Celeste, who was in the situation of being at a point where civilization on Earth was waking up. And explaining, kind of telling the audience how it was to live through that.
Oh, okay.
And so the idea was to put you into the feeling of that in the future. And in a way, what that does is, it first of all makes a person happy to feel that way, just in itself. And second of all, it, in a sense, seeds the future with that possibility. With people thinking that, suddenly if people are thinking that, then the mass consciousness has that part in it, thinking that, which means that, there's a person, a scientist called Sheldrake, Rupert Sheldrake, and he talks about morphological fields, which are constantly being created, which are fields, people know about that today as the 100 monkeys effect. Where if a certain number of, this actually happened, a certain number of monkeys were learning to crack shells or do something a certain way in islands, and once the 100th one learned this, then on other islands who didn't know about these monkeys, the other monkeys started doing it too. It's like a field of energy was set up that now all monkeys knew about this. So, so the idea is by seeding the mass consciousness with an idea of a future that's absolutely, awake. That
and while you were beginning to explain this concept, you said something about the mass consciousness and like how many people have to be. Is there a mathematical formula as to how many people should be having a certain kind of thought to make that idea manifest?
That's a fantastic question.
Like 8,000 people or something.
That's right. That is exactly the answer. Because this has been studied. There was originally in the 1970s a situation where a number of people came to, I think it was San Diego, to do transcendental meditation for a week. There was a conference. Maybe, I think it was 2,000 people or something like that, And it turned out that the crime rate dropped and a number of other good things happened. Yeah. This has been studied by Princeton and other places and has been called the Maharishi effect.
And it's what? It's the square root of like 1% of the population?
That's exactly what it is. It's the square root of 1% of the population. And so for
And I didn't know that would be, and that would equal 8,000.
And it's surprisingly small, the 8,000. You would think that for 6 billion people it would be 200,000 or something, but it really is a small number. So this says that if 8,000 people were consistently thinking positive thoughts or no thoughts, in other words, they were just open, and that's possible. It's possible
at least no negative thoughts.
No negative
bad thoughts. Okay.
That would
or
be
no destructive thoughts.
That's right. That would be the tipping point. The tipping point, and then that would spread instantaneously. It wouldn't spread, 5 days. It would spread instantaneously into the rest of the population, just like the 100 monkeys effect. Very interesting. And I know that in India, because I followed this, there is there's something called the oneness movement, where Sri Amma Bhagavan and I forget exactly who they were, are actually building a place where there are people who are staying there 24/7 and thinking positive thoughts.
Hopefully it'll help the whole world.
Yes, so hopefully it'll and what we're seeing is more and more the world is more aware of the concept.
Why is it happening now?
I believe that now actually traces its roots back to 1987. In 1987 was, anybody interested in this whole topic will probably want to look at Wikipedia or someplace about the harmonic convergence, because the harmonic convergence was the largest number of people. I think it was 3 million people meditating or keeping their minds open at the same time. That caused the mass consciousness to shift at that time. Just like this Maharishi effect. So at that time, a shift happened which says, Earth wants to be happy. That message was sent deep into the psyches of all people on Earth at that time. A major change happened at that period. So what's happening now is we're seeing more and more of the after effect. If that didn't happen, it could have been very difficult going for us now. But that did happen, and that made a major change.
That is wonderful. Can you talk a little bit about what's in the book, The Gracing of Earth?
So first of all, I call it...
Other than, the fact that it's about the girl and...
First of all, the Gracing of Earth, the title of that was given to me because I opened my mind and just listened to what some people can say my subconscious is telling me. I see it more as my higher self is telling me. Some people could say God is telling me, Holy Spirit's telling me. So I opened my mind and I can hear things sometimes. And so I said, well, what? And I talked to it and I say, what should be the title of this book? And it said, The Gracing of Earth. And the reason why is because I had been tracking with kinesiology when was my next major change in consciousness. And I had for a long, long time been tracking, it's maybe in 2 weeks there would be a major change. So I'd wait 2 weeks and I'd test in there. And indeed, I would feel better and there would be a change in me. I'd feel different. And then all of a sudden, it started progressing very tightly. It said in the next hour, in the next 15 minutes. And suddenly that changed, not just for me, but for many, many people on Earth, converged to a constant updating of grace on September 4th, 2013, 5 o'clock.
I see.
At that time, and that's why the Gracing of Earth actually started. It was happening, but became constant at that time, and it's continuing
when
now.
When was it? September?
September, I believe it was September 4th or 5th, I think it was 4th, of 2013.
2013, okay.
So it's been going on for a while.
I see.
And so the beginning part talks about the experiences of this girl, and periodically, the way it would be written is I'd keep on asking, well, do you want to, things were happening to me. And I said, well, do you want to express this in the book? And I get a yes or a no. I would test, and so we would kind of like co-create the beginning of the book.
I see.
And then it started telling me, well, little passages of what to write. And it became so that near the end of the book, it wanted to write itself. And so I was almost transcribing what was being told me for the last half of the book. And it was giving a message of great hope, great change on Earth, a message that said that the energy of Earth has substantially changed and is changing. You were awakening from a miserable dream you were having. Things are getting better. Everything is very hopeful, and the message is very specific. The wording I
So how many years does your story cover?
The story covers about 5 years. About 5 years.
5 years of the girl's life. Okay.
Right, and so and the feeling of like what was happening. So for example, I would have an experience where suddenly I would see a flash of light.
And what does that mean?
For no reason. There was like no reason there should be. It was like lightning happened, but there was no thunder. It was the middle of the day and was sunny.
I see.
And that happened several times, and I believe that was more energy coming to Earth. I believe the energy is coming to Earth and helping us change.
Not something reflecting off of something else that's moving?
I don't think that's what happened. I don't think that's what, because I was talking to some of my friends who were who were interested in topics like this, and they were noticing flashes of light too.
I see. How can someone reading the book benefit from this?
They could benefit.
Can they use it to improve their health or improve just their happiness or peace?
I believe that it'll help in all of those ways. It'll help with certainly their peace of mind, because look what it's doing. It's focusing a person's mind on a situation which I believe is going to happen. I mean, it's not like yes, I believe these things will happen, or some variation of these things will happen. Mm-hmm. So it'll first of all focuses the person on these on happy thoughts, and you get to think, how long can I have happy thoughts? You know, that's an interesting question, okay? It's really easy to make up miserable thoughts for some reason, okay? Worrying can take. Oh, my mother sometimes says, "Well, I can't go to the doctor yet because I didn't worry enough about it." So I say, so it's like some people, you know, it's easy to kind of like get wrapped up in things that are negative, but to actually say, can I actually sustain an entire day of thinking positive things all the time? I mean, all the time. I mean, if something else comes along, I'll say, yes, I'll notice it, but then I'll come back to thinking about something else. And so it just puts the person in kind of like a different place and saying, well, look, just imagine you're here. How would you react? You know, look, I'm going to tell you how these people are feeling, and I'm going to tell you what they're seeing. Imagine you're sitting there. How do you feel about that? And usually it's you know, it just feels great.
And there's something about measuring these books on Dr. David Hawkins' scale of consciousness.
Dr. David Hawkins, I enjoy it a great deal. It turns out that I had not known about, I had actually not sought out his books. The person who I worked for, I had mentioned about kinesiology, and he told me, he said, oh, read this book, Power versus Force. That was the first of Dr. Hawkins' books. And there was a whole stream of them, and that's one of the things that led my co-author on the first book to find the class. Many of the people who came to my first class that I gave in continuing education came because of Dr. Hawkins' book. They thought, some of the people told me they didn't believe that anybody else in all of Connecticut knew about Dr. Hawkins, let alone somebody in continuing education.
Okay.
And so Dr. Hawkins was a psychiatrist who came up with a life-changing event, which he just became unbelievably, almost like a master on earth instantaneously. And he found that you can measure consciousness on a scale of 1 to 1,000, 1,000 being divinity on earth, Jesus, Buddha on earth, and 1 being existence. And that all people...
And where are we? The average person, maybe not you, but
the good news
myself.
is that the harmonic convergence was the place, there was the tipping point of going of passing the 200 mark. The 200 mark is truth and integrity. Anything below that pulls people down. Actually, if a person measures under 200, just being around them will drag you down. Okay. At truth and integrity, at least they're neutral. You know, maybe they won't blow you up, but they're not going to drag you down. And so it turned out that the mass consciousness turned that corner at 2000 at that harmonic convergence point.
At that time, 2013. Okay.
Now I believe that for all of Earth, it's, I don't know, maybe 230 or something. It's maybe,
increasing.
Definitely increasing very, very fast, like exponentially.
And so, what would your measure be?
My measure, well, it's
because you are so into this, and you've been practicing for so long. So
it's certainly beyond
2 decades.
The level 600 is unconditional love, seeing love in everybody, and I believe that, you know, I would be at least there. You could measure it. I'm at least 100, 200. You can measure it, okay, and so the books measure very high. Hawkins measured his own book. He measured every chapter in his own book.
Oh, I see.
And they were around 900, 950. In other words, 900, 950, you know, it's very high vibration, truthful things that we're doing, that you're reading. And
we did talk about a little bit of the finding how good something is or how bad it is, right?
Yeah, we can.
We did a little bit of a demonstration in one of our shows before.
Right, in an earlier one, you can go into everything has a vibration. Everything will either pull you down, drag you up, or leave you alone. So everything, a room, a book, you know, an object, a plant, everything has a vibration, an accumulated vibration. So you can, for example, take a book and say, so for example, if I go into a bookstore and I pick up a random book, I say, okay, I'm going to measure this book. and you hold it like this, and I say, the book is at least 100, 200, 300, 400, and I keep counting up to 1,000 until I get weak. So I say on Hawkins' scale, the book is at least 100, 200, and I count up. This book is very high. This book is probably 700, 800, 900. This book is very, it was crafted to be high. In other words, I wouldn't put anything in it that wasn't. If you go into take a normal book, let's say Wuthering Heights. You could do it. With kinesiology, it's all with focus. So just thinking of the book, Wuthering Heights, I'm thinking of it now very clearly, okay? So Wuthering Heights on Hawkins' scale is 100, 200, 203, like 210, 20, 30, 230. However, if you took out, so in other words, it's not going to pull you down. But if we took out some pages, let's say
chapters, negative chapters,
some negative events that were in the book, and so we took out some pages. How many pages would we have to take out to bring it to 500, which is love, very, very strong love? Take out 10, 20, 30 pages. So it would be impossible to figure this out. The kinesiology works with this with quantum mechanics, and so you get these unusual properties to it, where you can go back in time and imagine things and do things like that. To actually write this stuff out with a spreadsheet and figure out what lines and things like that would be, next to impossible. You'd get lost in minutia. Lost.
Yeah. So the average person who doesn't know how to measure it can still benefit and still practice a little bit of this unconditional love and some of the points that you give in your books, right? Yes. And they can still improve their lives with that.
Oh yes, if nothing else, just by keeping thoughts positive. Just that alone, as much as possible, to keeping thoughts positive would be a major improvement.
Thank you, Bruce, for helping us understand what kinesiology is and how we can help ourselves with all this renewed use of energy.
Thank you, Usha.
Thank you all for watching, and that was Bruce Zboray on kinesiology. I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, goodbye.